You know, the fun never stops with a sweet baby that is anything but sweet. Continuing to attack gamers, labeling things as Gamergate 2.0, editing Wikipedia pages, it is all a bunch of chaotic nonsense. But like the infants that they apparently are, we are going to cover exactly how they continue to cry, to sob, and apparently feed off the neurotic narcissism that is distinct to Oh, Sweet Baby Inc. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel. It is a joy as ever that you are here with us. We love having you, an attitude of gratitude each time you click on a video here. As we get into this one, folks, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Today's video is all about Sweet Baby Inc. yet again, because the disaster never seems to stop. This is a train wreck in motion somehow, and they are as big as an ocean when it comes to all of the major flaws that we are seeing out of the gaming industry and this decision to hand over propagandizing, although I don't think that needed to be a job in the first place, but handing over propagandizing people in video games to consultation firms filled with wackadoodle weirdos. All right, we've got a panel to talk about the latest on Sweet Baby. Let's bring them on right now. This out of That Park Place by John Trent. Folks, if you're not yet bookmarked That Park Place, what are you doing? This one says, U.S. government funded organization Take This encourages game developers to denounce gamers who are being harassed by Sweet Baby Inc. Wow. All right, here's the article. The organized harassment and cancel campaign against video gamers by Sweet Baby Inc. has taken a dark turn as a U.S. government-funded organization, Take This, has called on game developers to attack their own customers for standing up to harassment. Take This, which is run by Dr. Rachel Cowart, a visiting professor somewhere, I'm not even sure if rising to the level of adjunct, maybe part-time, instructs game developers to denounce gamers for defending themselves from Sweet Baby Inc. First, the organization's blog post states, if you're reading this, you've probably been hearing about what's now being called Gamergate 2. It's the latest targeted harassment campaign within the gaming industry, and it's aimed at Sweet Baby Inc., a purely innocent, Montreal-based narrative development studio. Of course, this is an outright lie. It is Sweet Baby Inc. that is running a targeted harassment campaign. Employees Chris Kindred and Maya Kramer launched their harassment campaign at the end of February, following Brazilian gamer Cabrutus Rambo, creating a Steam curator list listing off all the games that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on that are available on Steam and not recommending them. So
can I just point out here how much it must burn in their craw so much that it's a Brazilian gamer and not some white guy?
Yes, well, they hate when that happens. But
or are you sure it's not a gamer with a Brazilian? You've got to get this stuff straight, guys.
Ouch. But I will say, think about the level of transgression here. We went to the extent of what a Wikipedia page might do, which is list out what you work on. Oh my gosh, run for the hills. Get out the pitchforks and the torches. How dare you say the things that we work on? And that is enough for Gamergate 2.
Well, Pro, I mean, actually, they just kind of took what was already on Sweet Baby Inc.'s webpage and regurgitated into their curator.
That's not allowed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can't do that. Mr. H, what the heck's going on with Sweet Baby Inc.? And do you think this is going to be a flash in the pan? Will we still be talking about this next week? Or do they settle down at some point and realize that they just got to stop being stupid, narcissistic, and neurotic?
Well, I mean, I hope we don't stop talking about it by next week, because this has been the problem with individuals on our side of the culture, culture sort of wall or field, as it were, because Bud Light was a tipping point in sort of cancel culture, I guess, and boycott culture. And it was successful because it became endemic in society. And still to this day, they've never recovered. And this should be exactly the same principle. You know, the issue with Sweet Baby Inc. Is it's a symptom of a much larger issue. So if you let them go on this one particular thing, then we achieve nothing. We absolutely achieve nothing. And the issue is I don't think anyone will let this go, quite frankly, primarily because this type of subversion works within bigger media with a bigger, broader audience, right? Movies, TV shows, it's been done for quite some time now, and they get away with it in movies and TV shows, this subversive agenda stuff. It sort of flies under the radar fairly often in film and TV. It hasn't now, lately, but it doesn't work when your market is very small. Now, I'm saying small by comparison to film, and the demographic is very unique with gamers. It's a very select demographic. And so what you have is communist Marxist movement going up against, you know, a very small subset of a demographic that outrightly reject it and will continue to outrightly reject it. But you won't replace that demographic with anyone else. It's an irreplaceable demographic because these people, you know, the people that are interested in games are not a broad bunch. And that's good because this is like the final stand in like a culture war kind of element. So I significantly hope we don't stop talking about it. I think it's important. And again, Sweet Baby Inc. is not, they're not the be all and end all. I mean, I tweeted out a compilation list of other entities that do exactly the same work and essentially just kind of fund one another. But it's important that it becomes endemic. It's important that people remain boycotting these games. It's important that you support indie games as opposed to these larger companies that genuinely, they hate you. They do hate you. They want to replace you, but they can't because there's no one to replace you with. So they
right, but they would replace you if you worked for them.
Yeah. But so my only problem is that there's nothing illegal for a game company to hire an organization like Sweet Baby. There's no law.
But it doesn't matter because gamers outrightly reject what any games company that these narrative developers work on.
Right.
So the game is, well, it's capitalism, baby. Like
right. But they vote with their wallet. Look at what happens to Saint Row.
Yeah, well, look at Bud Light. Again, that became successful because it was endemic in society.
But I mean, there's a slight difference between Bud Light and this, and that Bud Light is just a beer. It doesn't really offer 30 hours or 100 hours worth of gaming pleasure.
No, well, that's why it's worse, actually. So what you're saying is that makes, so what you're saying is actually more argument why people should outrightly reject Sweet Baby Inc. Because you are right. So, you have to spend 30 plus hours on a game.
I'm just being the devil's advocate here. Is that are we certain that each of the games that Sweet Baby...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if...
Let him finish the sentence.
Are we certain that the quality of every single game that they were involved in deteriorated to the point where it was unplayable or uninteresting? I am concerned about the fact that a blanket banning of an organization, I have concerns about that.
Have you looked into what the CEO said?
That Sweet Baby Inc. is probably partially funded by government money in Canada because that's just the way we are up here. I am concerned about that. That's social manipulation.
I'll point out that, and I'll agree with Paul here, that there are differences in games. If you are one of the people who has a PlayStation 5, Spider-Man 2 is probably one of those essential games that you would get for that system. And from what I hear, there is wokeness in it, not a ton. Or the fact that the people who are narratively in charge of Marvel's Wolverine, also Insomniac Games, which has a great track record. I'll stop there. That company, not necessarily that director. I think there's a difference between that and something that is full of this stuff that on its face looks woke.
Let me push back then on both of your comments, actually, because no, it doesn't matter whether it's a blanket rejection of the company with anything that they've worked on. It literally doesn't matter at all, because you're not dealing with a product that's a movie which you spend $5 to $10 on. You're dealing with a product which can cost somewhere in the region of $100 that you do spend 30, 50 hours on, and also it arrives broken. So no, actually, these games studios, as well as these narrative developer companies, do need to learn a lesson, and they're not going to learn a lesson without a blanket rejection of all of their ideological points on this. They will not learn a lesson. They'll just go, they're through a little hissy fit for a little while. We're quids in again, right? So no, it actually matters that an outright rejection takes place, especially considering that these games, it would be a different story, right? if the games were good and woke, or they were good and they weren't arriving broken, but they're crap, they're woke, and they arrive broken, and they're really expensive. Right?
So
it's not a product
let's take
that
a
you
look.
spend $10 on, and you can go, "This is my just $10 at the weekend." No, it's literally $100.
Yeah.
So let's take a look then, because I think I can parse out where this disagreement is. So, and you all correct me if I'm wrong on this, okay? Because this is really important stuff.
Is this just real quick? Is this the re-edited website or their old website before?
This is as it is currently. So I agree with you that they've. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
once they got called on the carpet. Yeah.
Exactly. So and we want to call that out. But I think where the discussion is diverging here is that what Mr. H is suggesting is that Sweet Baby Inc. and others like it are intrinsically at the foundation motivated to do something negative for the gaming industry because it's negative for gamers. And what Paul is suggesting is that Sweet Baby Inc. and others like it may be part of a broader attempt to polish up a narrative and make it better, and that maybe Sweet Baby Inc. is just tremendously bad at their job, but that we should look at their entire portfolio and then not cancel companies outright. Is that the difference? Is that, Mr. H, you see this as intrinsically, foundationally corrupt, and Paul, you see this as something being brought on by corporations to assist them, but might not be very good at doing that?
Well, who's
the
going to talk first?
Paul, you take it away, Paul. Did I accurately portray your thought?
So somewhat. I mean, so first of all, the videos that have come out from the people who run Sweet Baby are pretty vile. Okay, so we can all agree that they are extremely ideological. But notwithstanding that, there is no law that says a corporate game entity can't either knowingly or unknowingly hire another organization that somehow, you could have had a board meeting that says, we actually want to make our game more woke. Let's do it. Now, then let the marketplace decide. I'm just concerned about going after Sweet Baby for the sake of being Sweet Baby. That's my ultimate concern, because the marketplace will decide whether hiring this company with its evil intent actually is useful to their bottom line. But that's their choice.
Right. And Mr. H, your position.
I'm going to hire Dr. Mengele to do the medical portion of this video. I mean, it is what it is, right?
But Mr. H's position is that this is arsenic, right? This is purely, there's no good in Sweet Baby. It is just an entity to do bad things for gamers and for the industry, and therefore, whatever it touches is it's metaphysically verboten. Is that fair, Mr. H?
Well, yes and no. I think I find your points almost a bit reductive in a sense, because you're arguing that it's not illegal. No one's saying it's illegal, and you're arguing that the market forces should decide. That is what's happening right here. It wasn't us that went on this champion against it. It was a gamer. And it was gamers that followed the curator list. It is market forces that are deciding. All market forces have looked at a lot of the games that they're on and go, well, these are bad anyway, right? Games have not been successful for a long time. So I appreciate you just playing devil's advocate, but a lot of what you're arguing is already happening.
So then the question is,
can I
how
throw
many
something
people
in
are
here
behind?
Can I, before you say that, let me throw one in here. Hogwarts Legacy got put in as a culture war totem on the wrong side, in my opinion. This is one that they were, talking about how it's because J.K. Rowling is a phobe of some kind, so therefore no one should buy the game, and therefore we need to support it. Well, if you look at the game itself, the main plot line actually ties to a transgender barkeep. Like several times, they're talking about this transgender barkeeper, even when she's not he or she is not on the screen. There are school teachers that are talking about being married to someone of the same sex. This is supposed to be set in the late 1700s, of course, in the middle of all this. So this got put forward as this, oh no, we're all taking a stand against these people who are going after J.K. Rowling. Well, Meanwhile, Avalanche Games that made this thing, they're being super quiet about the whole thing, almost as if they don't want anyone to notice that no, this game is actually quite woke.
It is. It's super woke.
But that I don't know if this just got a pass because everyone was so enraged about the J.K. Rowling situation. But this 100%. One, I don't think Sweet Baby was involved in that one. I think it was some other. It might have been Avalanche. It might have been some other studio. But this is so hard to weed out, and these are such wide-ranging experiences that you can get in here and you can even review the first 10 hours of a game, and you might not even get to the heavy aspects of this stuff. So
it's a very entertaining game. So in the case of Saints Row, which was totally butchered, the Hogwarts game is a fine game.
Yes, I mean, it's actually a good game, and if they remove this stuff out of it, I wouldn't have a problem. I would let my kids play it. But because they've got Serona Ryan, the hero of the three broomsticks over here, that they keep talking about her gender journey, I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm not putting my kids in front of that.
Okay, so let's paint this broadly then. Let's get somewhere that's really meaningful, I think. And that is that Sweet Baby Inc. is one of a plethora, depending on where you are, of companies that are all involved in propagandizing entertainment. And the corporations have brought in this ecosystem of propagandizing partners who then they can offload all the complaints on them and say, well, that's their fault or whatever. But there's this giant ecosystem of corporate efforts to undermine gaming for whatever reason. So, and it seems to me that reason is political, highly, highly ideologically and politically driven, with major political money flooding this. How do we as a community push back against that? Because, Mr. H, if we're successful against Sweet Baby Inc., let's say, there's a dozen more behind it, and the corporations are involved in it, and they're all like totally immersed in this belief system that is wackadoodle outside the 80% of the sensible center. So how do we take back our entertainment in gaming at least?
Well, really easily. I mean, you literally just follow what everyone else is doing currently. So the two most successful games that have released of late were indie games, Power World and Helldivers 2. Right. People naturally are gravitating towards these better games anyway, right? You know, exactly. You've got what it's been out for like 2-3 weeks now. Justice League killed the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Is that out?
I thought that died on Impact. I thought
what I mean is,
so
it's been out for a while, and now you've got less than a couple of hundred players playing it, right? It's dead. It's absolutely dead. Power World's like millions of players. It's absolutely insanity. So the thing is, like, gamers are not stupid, right? Gamers are not stupid. They have gravitated toward it. Again, it's a capitalist society.
We were picky babies. I thought that's what Sweet Baby said. We were picky babies. We were narcissistic picky babies.
They're being good picky babies and choosing very specific things very clearly.
Right.
You just follow them.
Basically. Does it bother you that we're labeled Gamergate 2 or whatever, 3, 4? These are such stupid terms that the average person on the street doesn't understand.
It's the same as someone calls you racist. Just embrace it. Who cares? The barometer for these things, the sort of yardstick to measure this by, so bloody, it lost all meaning. Gamergate 2.0 lost meaning. Racist, it's lost meaning. All this stuff is lost meaning. Embrace it. Who cares?
I feel sorry for those who don't have the gate label, right? So think about it. Streaming doesn't have streaming gate yet. TV gate, there's no movie gate. We're leaving out important people out there who should be involved.
We're saving Disney Gate for a rainy day. I do have to say that I missed out on the first Gamergate, so I personally am thrilled to be able to jump in on the ground floor of this new one.
Absolutely, but it is fascinating.
There's a bigger question here in the gaming side. Just want to finish this off. Is that AAA games are in trouble regardless. If you go to the Steam top games, the #1 game being played is Portal 2. Well, that's a 30-year-old game,
and it's wonderful. And it's wonderful. And Flaming Lemons are wonderful. But
and
why can't we go back to that?
Apart from Alex, there's no AAA games in the top 20. So people are playing or old AAA games. The industry is killing itself, and they're not helping themselves by aligning with this ideology.
Do we think it improves next year once we get through this political season? Do we think
no? The problem is the game.
Where's the de-escalation point? Where do we find a new fight?
It take 5 years to develop is the problem. That's we're not going to see anything for a good long time.
Well,
Culture, help us out here. Like, we've been fighting wokeism now for a while. When do we go to the next thing? When do we all get tuckered out and tired of this? Like, when does this fad end? Like
Never.
baggy jeans in the 90s.
Never.
Never.
This has always been an ongoing battle. I mean, you've had battles against people playing tabletop role playing games. You've had, I mean, you're constantly fighting this battle from the culture side of things. And if you stop fighting it, you will lose your culture. And that's the plan. I mean, is to tear down culture. So I don't know that it'll ever end.
Constructionist versus deconstructionist.
Exactly. All the time. Yeah. And the bigger problem that we're dealing with now is something that I think largely will resolve itself, which is if you have a corporation and you can't make money, you go out of business. Embracer figured this out when they picked up Volition in the middle of developing Saints Row, the latest Saints Row game. As Paul pointed out, that thing failed on an epic scale very quickly because it was just terribly woke. And again, it is something that Sweet Baby's involved in, and you can put a blanket on Sweet Baby, Paul. Everything they touch is garbage. So but then as far as the other stuff, I mean, we have an example of it in the media side. Deadspin just died. It's dead. It's now basically a brand that is held by a European company. They fired everybody yesterday.
Okay.
And they earned that. They earned that. So,
for the audience out there who doesn't know that name, Culture, tell them in a sentence or two who they are and their big transgression that wiped them out.
Deadspin was a digital sports media news source. They started out good, like a lot of them did, and then tried to differentiate themselves, eventually started to move into politics, and their latest disastrous thing was going after the kid that wore the face paint on two sides of his face for wearing a Native American headdress and the face paint, basically calling him wearing blackface, essentially. What the problem with having the kind of reaction they did on this kid that was being covered on a national broadcasted football game is they made they pointed to this kid and tried to call him racist.
Well, and let's say this new Culture.
A Rittenhouse.
When you have daily on X and Instagram and TikTok, you have constant shorts of young people doing atrocious things to others, right? Attacking them, harming them.
Yeah.
When those individuals get a dopamine hit and they're left alone by the mainstream media, and then you have a sports outlet that focuses on a 9-year-old who's just going to a sports game and wears the wrong thing according to their standards, things have gone greatly askew in our society. And so it's good. It's good then that market forces came back and that, that they're gone essentially. And maybe that's the future for Sweet Baby and these other propagandizers inside the gaming industry.
Well, but again,
better back in the day when the corporations were rapacious and they didn't care about any of this shit.
I wish they were greedy for money again, Paul.
And then the take the knee era came, and the amount of egregious accommodation by these multinationals that are hiding behind virtue amulets is the problem.
Yes, I totally agree. Mr. H, is that fair? Culture, is that fair? Anybody disagree on that point by Paul? Because I think it's a big one.
Greed is good.
I like greed.
I will say I know of a production, and this is obviously on the movie side as opposed to a video game side, where they thought they were going to hit big dollars by making a character in a children's movie a member of the alphabet community. And then all this stuff for Disney happened, and they rightly got scared. They minimized everything that they could about that character. She's still in there in the final production, and they pulled all the marketing spend on that particular movie. So I think they're beginning to understand how polite we were all being for so long, and how done with it we all are. The cynicism
of the corporations and government, it drives me nuts, because in the 70s, and I've told this story, I fought for gay rights. I had eggs and ink thrown at me for my troubles. Where were the corporations? Where was the government? Nowhere. but then at some point they decided to use it as a shield to obfuscate their other, you know, criminal activities, and they're just hiding behind, you know, we've talked about that before, but
Well,
that's what's happening right now with these games. I'm afraid of what's going to happen with Fallout. It kind of looks good, but I don't trust the people. I don't like
No.
the main characters.
Fallout
The main
Fallout.
characters look like they're out of a DEI catalog.
Yes.
Well, so here's the other thing we're watching. So let's switch to the good news side of this. One of the things that we've been witnessing, or at least I have, is that there are companies out there now which are turning away from woke and from DEI and ESG. What's impressive about that is that when they do so, when they do not go along with this, for whatever reason in our world, all of the institutional money is on that side. So for them to turn that away means that the market is damaging them enough on when they insert wokeism into their stuff, the market is rejecting them to a greater level than the institutions can support them.
Mm.
It's simple math on that side. So that to me is a point of optimism, that the market is bigger than these crazy nut jobs who are propagandizing kids with gaming. And so I hope that that is the winning formula going forward. It sounds like you all are optimistic as well. And folks, we are done for the day. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve is the job, and we hope we did it well. It's time for your vote of confidence. If you believe we did so, like, share, subscribe, and click it, stick it to the algorithms. If you have not yet dropped a comment down below, join the community dialogue and share your thoughts with us. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.